My eyes were full of spots. I could barely move. Another inch and I would fall into the river head first. The river. I swallowed, hoping my voice still worked. You're even uglier than your son, I taunted the Titan. I can see where Atlas gets his stupidity from. Iepetus snarled. He limped forward, raising his spear. I didn't know if I had the strength, but I had to try. Iepetus brought down the spear, and I lurched sideways. The shaft impaled the ground right next to me. I reached up and grabbed his shirt collar, counting on the fact that he was off balance as well as hurt. He tried to regain his footing, but I pulled him forward with all of my body weight. He stumbled and fell, grabbing my arms in a panic, and together we pitched into the river Lethe. I was immersed in black water. I prayed to Poseidon that my protection would hold, and as I sank to the bottom, I realized I was still dry. I knew my own name, and I still had the Titan by the shirt collar. The current should have ripped him out of my hands, but somehow the river was channeling itself around me, leaving us alone. With my last bit of strength, I climbed out of the river, dragging Iepetus with my good arm. We collapsed on the riverbank, me perfectly dry, the Titan dripping wet. His pure silver eyes were as big as moons. Thalia and Nico stood over me in amazement. Up by the cave, Nathan Nakamura was just cutting down the last skeleton. He turned and froze when he saw his Titan ally spread eagle on the ground. My lord, he called. Iepetus sat up and stared at him. Then he looked at me and smiled.
Hello,
he said.
Who am I?
You're my friend, I blurted out. You're Bob. That seemed to please him greatly.
I'm your friend Bob.
Clearly, Ethan could tell things were not going his way. He glanced at the sword of Hades lying in the dirt, but before he could lunge for it, a silver arrow sprouted in the ground at his feet. Not today, kid, Thalia warned. One more step, and I'll pin your feet to the rocks. Ethan ran straight into the cave of Melano. Thalia took aim at his back, but I said, No, let him go. She frowned, but lowered her bow. I wasn't sure why I wanted to spare Ethan. I guess we'd had enough fighting for one day, and in truth, I felt sorry for the kid. He would be in enough trouble when he reported back to Kronos. Nico picked up the sword of Hades reverently. We did it. We actually did it.
We did?
Iepetus asked.
Did I help?
I managed a weak smile. Yeah, Bob. You did great. We got an express ride back to the Palace of Hades. Nico sent word ahead, thanks to some ghost that he summoned out of the grounds, and within a few minutes, the three Furies themselves arrived to ferry us back. They weren't thrilled to be lugging Bob the Titan, too, but I didn't have the heart to leave him behind, especially after he noticed my shoulder wound and said,
Owie,
and healed it with a touch. Anyway, by the time we arrived in the throne room of Hades, I was feeling great. The Lord of the Dead sat on his throne of bones, glowering at us and stroking his black beard like he was contemplating the best way to torture us. Persephone sat next to him, not saying a word, as Nico explained our adventure. Before we gave back the sword, I insisted that Hades take an oath not to use it against the gods. His eyes flared like he wanted to incinerate me, but finally he made the promise through clenched teeth. Nico laid the sword at his father's feet and bowed, waiting for a reaction. Hades looked towards his wife.
You defied my direct orders.
I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but Persephone did not react, even under his withering gaze.